I thought I'd share some of the photo or image editing process that I go through before I begin a painting. This painting that I've chosen to do this time around is quite complicated. I just thought I'd show just some of the hours that have gone into just getting this thing ready to go with paint. Welcome to my studio. This is the Creative Hub, a big 36x48, ready to go. And here are the images, or a handful of the images that I've selected. I went out taking photos just recently and was really inspired by the magic of the day. So I've been through a bunch of these photos. I've edited a whole heap of them up, looking for gesture in the animals. You know, this one looking straight on, she sort of is very confronting, and because she's fairly central, kind of ruined this image, but I can do other things to sort of take some of them out or move things. So I was looking for movement and placement and relationship to the background. I was very interested in these buildings. I kind of think evenly spaced and 3 buildings is probably not ideal, so some things are going to get changed around. I was also very interested in the way the fog was lifting in this background, so I've got a lot of things that are really interesting to me, which is why I've chosen to do a 36x48 as opposed to probably a smaller study. So what I've done in Corel Paint Shop Pro is I've brought in images or pieces of images from other photos. So as you can see, I've got a little bit of something from an original photo here, and I've placed the building that I wanted in there, so they're not all evenly spaced across. I've placed a cow in there that gives me a little bit of mid-ground, or receding back a little bit into the distance. This one was one that I had also trialed, but I kind of didn't like the gesture, so got rid of that one and used this one. So this is the power of editing images. On this occasion too, I'm going to be using a grid because I know that I'm going to struggle with depth and getting everything in its proportion and in the correct placement. I've decided to use a grid. I don't often do that for landscapes, but this time I'll be doing that. as I step back into the distance, I have to remind myself that the values get lighter and the temperature drops. The legs always have a bigger gap between them than what you think for. you.